Have you ever walked away from a conversation, a meeting, or a moment and thought, I could have handled that better? Not with anger, not with force, but with presence, with clarity, with quiet power that didn't need to shout to be felt. Most of us have felt that sting, that moment when we knew something could have gone our way if only we had said the right thing, asked the right question, or simply stayed silent a little longer. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding the game that's already being played around you and choosing how to respond without losing yourself in the noise. The truth is, life is full of silent tests. In conversations, negotiations, even in moments of stillness, there are chances to shift the direction of everything, not by control, but by awareness. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They didn't aim to overpower others. They mastered the art of self-command so deeply that others naturally followed. This video isn't about tricks. It's not about manipulation. It's about sharpening the way you move through the world, strategically, calmly, wisely. If something in you is curious, if you've ever wished for more calm clarity in the chaos, then stay with me. Let's explore this together, quietly, intentionally, one lesson at a time. Number 1, fine-tune your timing. Have you ever said the right thing, but at the wrong time? Have you ever walked away from a conversation, knowing in your bones that you should have waited, or acted sooner, or said nothing at all? We don't just lose influence by saying the wrong words. We lose it by speaking too soon, too late, or too much. Timing isn't decoration, it's strategy in silence. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, but even the right action, taken at the wrong moment, can miss its mark." Timing is not about control, it's about alignment. To be in rhythm with life is to notice the subtle turns of a conversation, the tension in someone's voice, the moment when silence speaks louder than reason. When you learn to wait without anxiety and act without hesitation, you stop chasing outcomes and begin shaping them. There was once a Roman general who led his army to the edge of battle, only to pause as his soldiers burned with anticipation. They were ready to charge, swords drawn, but he told them to wait just a little longer. Not out of fear, but because he could feel that the enemy, though bold, had not yet made their mistake. And when that mistake came, a small, impatient move, the general struck with precision. The victory was swift, not because of strength, but because of patience. That general didn't just win the battle, he owned the moment. You don't need to control everything, you just need to sense when the moment is yours. Whether you're in a conversation, a negotiation, or standing in silence while someone underestimates you, your timing, your ability to move with awareness will shape what happens next. Speak when the room is listening, not just when your ego wants to be heard. Pause when emotion rises, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to wait. Act when your clarity is greater than your fear. The world isn't waiting for noise, it's waiting for precision, so fine-tune your timing and let every word, every step carry the quiet weight of intention. And when you master that, you'll discover that influence doesn't come from being louder, it comes from being timed right. Now let's explore the second key to silent influence, asking questions that reveal, not impress. Number 2, ask to understand. Have you ever spoken to someone and felt like they were there but not really present? Like their answers were a checklist, not a conversation? A cold yes or no that closes the door before anything real can enter. In moments like that, something inside us aches, not for noise, but for connection. And connection begins not with answers, but with the right kind of questions. The Stoics believed wisdom wasn't found in knowing everything, it was found in knowing how to uncover what matters. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But listening deeply requires more than silence. It requires invitation. And open-ended questions are just that. A quiet door you leave ajar, so another person might feel safe enough to walk through. In a world obsessed with being heard, there is a quiet strength in learning to draw others out. When you ask someone, "What was that like for you?" instead of "Did it go well?" you shift the ground. You invite depth over performance. You allow space for people to become real in your presence. And strangely, that's when they begin to trust you. I once knew a man who rarely spoke in meetings, but when he did, he would ask one question, never dramatic, never sharp, just honest. What's the biggest risk we're not seeing? It was quiet, but it changed the room. People leaned in, the noise stopped. And from that question, real thoughts emerged. He didn't need to dominate the room, he guided it, not by telling, but by asking. And in doing so, he earned more influence than those who filled every silence with certainty. Open-ended questions are not a tactic, they're a way of life. They show that you're not here to impress, but to understand. And when you understand, you gain insight, rapport, and most importantly, respect. In negotiation, in friendship, in leadership, people give you what they feel safe revealing, and the only way to earn that is by asking not to trap them, but to see them. So the next time you're in a moment that matters, pause, resist the urge to fill space with statements. Instead, offer a question that opens space. You'll be surprised what unfolds. Because when you ask with genuine curiosity, you don't just gather information, you gather trust. And trust, once earned, is the quietest and strongest power of all. Now, let's go deeper into the art of not speaking at all, and why observing can sometimes speak louder than words. Number 3, let observation lead. Have you ever watched a storm roll in, not with fear, but with stillness? You didn't try to outrun it. You didn't scream at the sky. You simply stood, silent, and watched it move. That's what observation is. A kind of quiet readiness. A refusal to be ruled by impulse when presence will do more. The Stoics believed that before we act, we must see clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Most people never question that estimate. They react instantly, emotionally, defensively. But the Stoic chooses a different path, the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, there is power. Imagine a man in a crowded room. The kind where everyone is speaking over each other, trying to prove their point, win their argument, dominate the air. But this man is quiet. He watches. He notices the way one person's foot taps nervously under the table, how another avoids eye contact every time a certain name is mentioned. He doesn't judge, he gathers. While others waste energy reacting, he's reading the truth between the words. And when he finally speaks, his voice cuts through the noise, not because it's louder, but because it's grounded in something real. Observation is more than looking. It's understanding without assumption. It's listening not just to what is said, but to what is left unsaid. It's noticing tone, timing, body language, contradictions. And in doing so, you develop a quiet kind of intelligence, one that doesn't need to declare itself, because it already sees 10 steps ahead. This applies everywhere. In business, you notice what your opponent isn't asking. In relationships, you sense what the other person isn't saying. In conflict, you recognize when silence is more strategic than 1,000 arguments. And the beauty is, the more you observe, the less you need to react. Your clarity becomes your calm becomes your strength. So the next time you feel the urge to jump in, to correct, to defend, to fix, pause, let the moment breathe. Look around. People will tell you everything if you're patient enough to let them. Because the one who sees most clearly does not need to fight for control, they already have it. Let's move now to the power of restraint in language and why thinking before you speak can change the entire course of your life. Number 4, speak with intention. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it the second it left your lips? Words, once spoken, cannot be unspoken. They carry weight far beyond the moment, sometimes wounding where we meant to soothe, or weakening the very point we hope to strengthen. There is a reason silence feels heavier just after we say too much. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca warned, "Speech that's hasty is never careful, and speech that is never careful is rarely wise." To the Stoic, restraint in speech is not repression, it's refinement. When you pause before speaking, even for a breath, you create space. In that space, you allow wisdom to rise above impulse. You are no longer reacting, you are choosing. Imagine a young man in a tense boardroom discussion. He's passionate, intelligent, eager to prove his point. But instead of blurting his rebuttal the moment tension rises, he does something rare. He leans back, he listens, he waits. And when he finally speaks, his words are measured, precise, and anchored in clarity. The room softens, eyes turn toward him, not because he raised his voice, but because his words carried the weight of thought. That moment earned him more influence than 100 outbursts ever could. To think before you speak is not to hesitate in fear. It's to respect the power of your voice. It's to understand that words can shift a conversation, open hearts, or close minds. In high-stakes discussions, in personal relationships, even in moments of everyday disagreement, the person who takes the time to think earns a kind of quiet authority. They do not need to dominate because their words speak with precision and purpose. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to rush to fill the silence. Let others speak first. Let the moment settle. And when you do speak, let your words be clean, honest, and essential, like a blade sharpened, not swung. When you master this pause between thought and voice, you stop being just another voice in the room. You become the one they wait for, the one they remember. Now, let's explore how subtle encouragement, when sincere, can become a powerful tool of influence and leadership. Number 5, affirm with clarity. Have you ever felt seen, not for your title, your results, or your performance, but simply for trying? For the quiet effort you gave when no one asked, for the courage it took to keep going, even when no one clapped. There's something rare, almost sacred, in being recognized sincerely. It softens resistance, opens hearts, and strengthens the invisible thread that connects us to one another. The Stoics weren't emotionless, they were intentional. Seneca once wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." And in the realm of influence, few things are more powerful than kindness given with clarity, not as flattery, but as affirmation of effort. When you acknowledge the value in others, especially when no one else does, you plant the kind of respect that grows into loyalty. I knew a team leader once, quiet, unassuming, never the loudest voice in the room. But he had a habit. After every project, he would privately thank each person, not with generic praise, but with specific words. You stayed calm when things fell apart, or you asked the question no one else saw. It was simple, but over time, people leaned in when he spoke. They worked harder, not for rewards, but because they felt noticed. Under his leadership, the team didn't just perform, they thrived. Not out of pressure, but out of pride. Positive reinforcement is not manipulation. It's not about saying something nice to get your way. It's about recognizing what is worthy and saying it out loud. People don't change because you criticize them. They change because you make them feel capable of more. And when you create a space where effort is seen, where growth is acknowledged, you become the kind of person others want to follow. Not because they have to, but because they trust you will honor their humanity. So whether you're guiding a team, healing a relationship, or simply walking through the world, notice people, speak to what is right in them, and let your encouragement be the mirror that reflects their potential. Next, let's explore the delicate balance between confidence and humility, and how staying grounded makes your influence unshakable. Number 6. Lead with humility. Have you ever met someone who had every reason to boast, yet didn't? Someone who walked into the room with quiet confidence, not seeking attention, but drawing respect simply by being grounded. That kind of presence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It speaks through humility, and humility always echoes deeper than pride ever could. The Stoics saw this as essential. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor of the world's greatest empire, wrote in his journal, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be straight and not twisted." Even as a ruler, he reminded himself daily that titles fade, applause fades, but character remains. To be great, you must first recognize how small you are in the vast rhythm of the world. That recognition doesn't weaken you, it protects you from arrogance, and that is a rare form of strength. There was once a craftsman in a small village, known for creating the finest swords. Warriors traveled days just to buy from him. One day, a young soldier asked, "How did you learn to forge blades this perfect?" The man replied, "Because I never assume I've made the perfect one." That answer says it all. True mastery doesn't announce itself. It keeps learning. It keeps its head low and its standards high. Humility isn't pretending you have no worth. It's knowing your worth so clearly that you don't have to flaunt it. It's standing strong in your skills while leaving space for others to be seen too. People gravitate toward that balance. They trust it because it signals that you won't belittle them to prove yourself. You don't need to. So let your confidence be the quiet kind, the kind built on consistency, not performance. Let your humility be real, not an act, but a way of living that reminds you to listen more, learn always, and lead with presence, not pride. If this speaks to something in you, take a moment and comment. Quiet strength. And if you want to keep growing with content like this, feel free to subscribe, not for me, but for the version of you that values this kind of clarity. Now, let's explore why adapting to change isn't weakness, but the very mark of inner wisdom. Number 7. Adapt with wisdom. Have you ever tried to hold on to something that was already slipping through your fingers? A plan, a belief, a version of yourself that no longer fit? Change doesn't knock, it arrives. And those who try to resist it with clenched fists often find themselves broken where they could have been shaped. The Stoics understood that nothing stays the same, not the seasons, not our fortunes, not even our thoughts. Epictetus said, "It is not the events that disturb us, but our judgment about them." Adaptability, then, is not about giving in to chaos. It's about adjusting our grip on what we cannot control while tightening our focus on what we can. It's not weakness, it's wisdom in motion. There's a story of a sailor who once sailed into a violent storm. The winds shifted, waves roared, and the path he planned was swallowed by the sea. But instead of panicking, he adjusted his sails. He didn't curse the storm. He read it. He moved with it, not against it. And because of that, he didn't just survive. He arrived where others couldn't. That sailor understood a truth most never learn. Rigidity breaks. Flexibility bends and endures. In life, your adaptability isn't just a survival tool, it's a mark of inner strength. It shows that you trust your ability to respond rather than control. That you are not married to a single outcome, but committed to moving forward with integrity, no matter what shape the road takes. Whether you're leading a team through uncertainty, navigating a tough relationship, or facing a personal shift you didn't expect, your ability to adapt calmly and wisely gives others permission to do the same. You become a mirror of what it means to stay rooted while remaining fluid, a rare and magnetic quality in a world that fears uncertainty. So loosen your grip on the plan, tune yourself to the moment, let go of what no longer serves you, and reshape your path with presence. Because the one who can adapt is the one who quietly leads without needing to push. Next, we turn to a mindset that reshapes conflict and negotiation alike. The quiet power of seeking mutual gain over competition. Number 8. Choose mutual victory. Have you ever walked away from an argument feeling like you won, but something in you still felt hollow, like you got your way but lost a connection? There's a hidden cost to needing to be right all the time. It wins moments, but loses people. And in a world full of noise, the person who can create harmony without surrendering truth becomes rare and deeply respected. The Stoics taught us not to live for victory, but for virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And often, the obstacle isn't someone else's resistance, it's our own ego that insists only one side can win. But life isn't always a battlefield. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is build a bridge where others expect a wall. There's a story of two merchants who owned neighboring stalls. One sold herbs, the other teas. For years, they competed bitterly, lowering prices, undercutting each other, draining their energy. One day, a traveler came by and asked, "Why don't you offer something together?" At first, they scoffed, but curiosity did its work. By the next season, they created a shared space. Tea infused with herbs, herbs packaged with tea. Sales doubled. More importantly, tension vanished. They didn't just survive, they grew, because they stopped trying to win alone. The win-win approach isn't weakness. It's strategic clarity. It means you care enough about the outcome to create space for others to benefit too. When people realize you're not here to conquer them, but to understand and collaborate, their defenses drop. Their creativity rises. And suddenly, solutions appear that neither side could have created alone. Whether you're negotiating a deal, resolving conflict, or navigating difficult family dynamics, this principle holds: seek the overlap, not the divide. It doesn't mean abandoning your values, it means expanding the space in which your values can meet someone else's without losing their shape. And when you consistently show up as someone who seeks mutual benefit, not just personal gain, you become more than persuasive. You become magnetic. The kind of person people trust because they feel seen, heard, and strengthened in your presence. Let's now explore a quiet virtue that few admire until they see it in motion, the discipline of patience, and why it's not just enduring, but leading from within. Number 9, command through patience. Have you ever felt the urge to fix something immediately, to say the thing, make the move, solve the problem, because the silence of waiting felt unbearable? There's a restlessness in the human heart that confuses speed with wisdom. But often, the most powerful decisions are the ones made just after the impulse has passed. The Stoics held patience not as a passive state, but as a sign of inner mastery. Seneca wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly." To wait is not to do nothing. It's to engage the moment fully without forcing its hand. It's choosing to let clarity rise while others chase outcomes blindly. It is strength hidden in stillness. I once heard of a seasoned judge who, in the most heated cases, would always pause before rendering his verdict. Not minutes, days. People would grow frustrated, expecting quick resolutions. But when his decisions came, they were rooted, thoughtful, and almost always respected. One reporter asked why he waited. He replied, "Because the truth doesn't shout, it whispers, and I refuse to speak until I can hear it clearly." That patience didn't delay justice, it deepened it. When you move too quickly, you risk acting from emotion instead of understanding. You miss the full shape of the situation. You trade depth for immediacy, and often regret follows. But when you practice patience, you give your mind time to settle, your perception time to sharpen. You speak less, but say more. You act less, but with greater precision. Patience also affects those around you. In a world of reactive voices and constant urgency, your calm presence becomes magnetic. People sense that you are not flailing to keep up, but anchored in your own rhythm. And from that rhythm, wisdom speaks. So the next time urgency tempts you to act before you're ready, stop, breathe, let the dust settle. There is no wisdom in racing chaos. There is only exhaustion. True influence comes not from how fast you respond, but how clearly. And now, let's turn to a boundary that defines the shape of our influence, knowing when to say yes, when to say no, and how that line determines the peace we keep and the respect we command. Number 10. Defend your peace. Have you ever felt invisible in your own life, present in the room, nodding, smiling, fulfilling every request, yet slowly fading into the background of your own story? It happens quietly. A favor here, a silence there, a tolerated disrespect disguised as politeness. Before long, you realize you've been saying yes to everything except your own peace. The Stoics didn't write about boundaries in the modern sense, but they lived them with clarity. Epictetus taught, "Some things are within our power, others are not." The essence of boundaries lies in that distinction, knowing what belongs to you and what doesn't. Your time, your energy, your values, these are within your power. But how others respond to your limits, that belongs to them. Boundaries are not punishments, they are definitions. Without them, your identity becomes porous. People step over lines you never marked, and you're left cleaning up emotional messes you never invited. But when you start drawing those lines, not in anger but in self-respect, something shifts. You stop explaining your worth. You start living it. Consider the story of a man who used to stay late at work, answer messages at all hours, and agree to every request from his team. He was liked, but exhausted. One day, his young daughter asked, "Do they pay you more for being tired all the time?" That question haunted him. Not because it exposed injustice, but because it revealed the cost he'd been silently paying. So he did something radical. He started going home on time. Not once, but every day. He stopped replying to messages after hours. At first, people pushed back, but eventually they adapted. His work didn't suffer. His boundaries made him better, focused, respected, present. When you set boundaries, people may resist. Some will feel entitled to your silence, your flexibility, your yes. But over time, those who stay are the ones who see you, not as a convenience, but as a person. And when you live with self-respect, you don't just gain peace, you teach others how to meet you on equal ground. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That same honesty must be applied to how you let others treat you. If it's not respectful, don't allow it. If it's draining, don't normalize it. Boundaries are not barriers to love, they are the conditions in which real love can grow. Boundaries don't need to be loud. You don't need to explain them to everyone, you simply need to hold them, quietly, consistently. The most powerful line is the one you don't cross within yourself. And when you master that, when your no carries as much integrity as your yes, you walk through life with a kind of quiet clarity that others can feel. You are no longer pulled in every direction. You are guided by your own. Let's now turn to the next form of invisible strength, the ability to not just react to life, but to anticipate it with calm foresight and meet it before it arrives. Number 11. Anticipate the storm. Have you ever found yourself in a moment where everything seemed to be falling apart, but instead of panic, you felt calm? Not because the chaos wasn't real, but because somewhere deep inside, you had already prepared for it. There's a rare kind of power in that calm. It's the strength of foresight, of being one step ahead, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The Stoics taught us that while we cannot control the future, we can meet it with clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. And part of mastering the mind means recognizing the patterns that precede the storm. It means knowing, before others do, how things tend to unravel, and training yourself to see just one move beyond the obvious. The one who sees first acts best. But this isn't about being paranoid. It's about being perceptive. There's a difference. Paranoia expects the worst at all times. Perception prepares for all things and welcomes the best without being surprised by the worst. That's the subtle art of readiness. It doesn't drain you. It focuses you. There was once a quiet man who worked in logistics, nothing glamorous. But every time something broke down, every time a crisis hit, he wasn't scrambling like the others. While people shouted, made calls, tried to fix the fire after it spread, he was already opening the door to the backup plan. He wasn't a genius. He simply paid attention to how things usually fail, and he prepared not for perfection, but for interruption. His value didn't come from flair. It came from foresight, and that's what made him indispensable. Staying one step ahead isn't about controlling life. Life doesn't ask permission. It's about positioning yourself mentally, emotionally, logistically, so that when the unexpected arrives, you're already standing on solid ground. You've thought through the weak spots. You've rehearsed your response. You've trained your awareness. This mindset spills into everything. In leadership, it means anticipating your team's unspoken concerns before they become voiced complaints. In negotiation, it means seeing the counter-argument before it lands. In relationships, it means recognizing the subtle shift in tone that tells you something is off before words are even spoken. When you live this way, people begin to trust you, not just because you deliver results, but because your presence calms storms. They lean on your steadiness. Your preparedness creates space for others to breathe, and that trust compounds over time. You become the one they look to, not because you have all the answers, but because they know you've quietly considered what most people ignore. The Stoics didn't wait to be tested. They trained their minds daily to meet difficulty before it knocked. Epictetus advised, when something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. But the more you anticipate wisely, the fewer things you'll need to react to blindly. That's the reward of strategic foresight. Fewer fires to put out and more energy to build, to lead, to live. So what does staying one step ahead really mean? It means paying attention, noticing patterns, learning from mistakes, yours and others. It means asking better questions earlier. It means creating systems that catch you before the fall. And most of all, it means building a mindset that's anchored in presence and prepared for motion. Because the one who anticipates quietly becomes the one others depend on loudly. And in a world that moves fast, that kind of foresight is no longer optional, it's essential. Now, let's turn to the last and most enduring source of personal authority, the daily decision to learn, not for applause, not for status, but for the kind of wisdom that outlives every trend and strengthens every move. Number 12, learn without end. Have you ever sat in a room where someone spoke with such clarity and calm depth that you found yourself drawn in, not because they were loud or charming, but because it was clear they had earned their words? There's a quiet power in a mind that has been cultivated, not crammed with facts, but sharpened by curiosity, by reflection, by the habit of seeking wisdom instead of noise. The Stoics believed that self-education was not optional, it was the foundation of virtue. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live, not just to survive, but to live wisely, to live well. Because the world changes, people shift, challenges evolve. But the person who continues to learn adapts not just their knowledge, but their character. And that is what makes you powerful in any room, any situation, any conversation." Imagine a man who never stopped asking questions. In every job he worked, he stayed after hours. Not to impress, but to understand. He read not for credentials, but for clarity. Over time, people began to seek his advice, not because he claimed to know everything, but because when he spoke, he connected the dots others missed. He didn't need a title. His insight became his authority, and it all came from one decision: to never stop learning. Continuous education is not about formal degrees or collecting facts to appear intelligent. It's about developing your own lens through which to see the world more clearly. When you read, when you ask, when you listen deeply to people wiser than you, you're not just gaining knowledge, you're chiseling a structure within yourself that holds you upright when the world tilts. In difficult conversations, your understanding makes you calm. In negotiation, your insight makes you flexible. In leadership, your perspective makes you trusted. The more you know, the less reactive you become. You stop clinging to opinion. You start weighing truth. And in time, people notice. They start coming to you not just for answers, but for presence, because there's something magnetic about a person who speaks from reflection instead of impulse. A person who has walked through books, through mistakes, through conversations, and come out with wisdom that's lived, not memorized. So read, not just to gather quotes, but to uncover yourself. Listen, not just to respond, but to truly understand. Reflect, not to judge your past, but to refine your future. Knowledge won't always make you louder, but it will make you stronger, more strategic, more centered. And that kind of presence shifts rooms without raising its voice. In a world flooded with information, be the one who seeks understanding. And when people ask how you became the way you are, calm, sharp, trusted, the answer will be simple. You never stopped learning how to live. If you're ready to move through life with quiet strength and clear intention, subscribe and grow with us.